Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over and talking about the Orioles' 7-0 loss to the New York Yankees in Game 1 of this 4-game series. Very embarrassing day overall. The pitching wasn't great. The offense wasn't great. Just an overall very, very rough outing for the Orioles. But they haven't really had one of these in a few weeks. They've been, relatively on top of it here recently, playing some pretty decent baseball. But today they go out there, just a really embarrassing performance. We'll go over that in a second. But we're also going to be going over some Ravens practice updates in today's episode. The injury report did come out from today's practice. This was the first practice of the week. Obviously, the Ravens played this Monday on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions in Baltimore. So the first practice was today on Thursday. There's a practice today, tomorrow, and Saturday, and then I think there's everyone's gonna, chill, rest on Sunday, and then on Monday is obviously the game. So today was the first practice. Injury report did come out. There is some very big names on the injury report that we do got to go over. There's some positive, but there is also some negative as well. So we're gonna go over all of that and more in this episode. So let's just start with this Orioles game. So going over this Orioles game, obviously a very, very disappointing outing from the Baltimore Orioles. Back at home, this game was on Fox, so this was like, primetime game, I guess. Everyone was able to watch it. It was a, nationally televised game. And unfortunately, much like a lot of other nationally televised Orioles games, aka the playoffs over the past 2 years, and just in general, it feels like when the Orioles are on primetime, they just always just disappoint. But the Orioles go and lose 7-0. To the New York Yankees. They get shut out. They couldn't even put up a run, which is, a little sad. And this officially means that the Orioles cannot end up being above 500 by the end of the season. So the best that they can do is 81-81, and that would be obviously, tied for 500, but they cannot be above 500 this season, which, we knew that was going to happen. There was, a glimpse of hope with having to win 10 games in a row, but we all knew deep down that was not going to happen. So going over this Orioles game, the offense obviously did not do great. We struck out 15 times tonight, which is horrible. But we were facing Max Fried, who, again, one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's going to be definitely like top 4, top 5 in Cy Young voting for the American League Cy Young Award. Max Fried, he's amazing. He's 18-5 on the year. He got through 7 innings, gave up 0 runs, and had 13 strikeouts. He was incredible in today's game. Only let up 4 total base runners, and the Orioles only got on base 5 times in this game. Obviously, we left all 5 of those guys on base, went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, but it didn't even matter. The pitching wasn't great for the Orioles. The offense wasn't great. Just overall was not a great showing for the Orioles. But going over the offense, Ryan Mountcastle was leading off today. Jackson Holliday did get the day off. Ryan Mountcastle was leading off. And also, the Orioles only had 3 total hits in this entire game, and Ryan Mountcastle was one of the people with one of them. Ryan Mountcastle went 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Jordan Westberg 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Gunnar Henderson 1 for 4. And Gunnar Henderson was the only player that did not strike out on the Orioles today, so shout out to him. Tyler O'Neill went 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. Jeremiah Jackson 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a walk. Kobe Mayo 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, so Kobe Mayo was able to get a hit. Samuel Basayo 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Jorge Mateo 0 for 3 with a strikeout. And Luis Vasquez 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. So, as you can tell by what I just read off, very, very, very rough day for the Orioles today. Every single person struck out at least once, except for Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar did not strike out, but like Ryan Mountcastle had 3 strikeouts, Jordan Westberg had 3 strikeouts, Jeremiah Jackson had 2, Kobe Mayo had 2, Luis Vasquez had 2. It was a bad day. It was a bad day. Not a lot of balls were being put in play. Just a very bad day overall for the Orioles. And obviously they scored 0 runs, and you cannot win a game if you score 0 runs. That's statistically how it works. So obviously the Orioles are not going to win a game when they score 0 runs, but when they do give up 7 runs, it's even harder to win a game. So going over to the pitching, Cade Povich did get the start today. He made his return. He's been on IL for a little over a month. It's been quite a while since we've seen Cade Povich, but he is back pitching. And he did not have a good day today. He got through 5 innings of work, gave up 3 runs in 5 innings, had 4 walks, had 5 strikeouts. Not a great day for Cade Povich, but 3 runs in 5 innings is not the worst thing in the entire world. Like, that's still a winnable game if your offense like actually scores runs, which obviously we didn't do today. But Cade Povich, 5 innings, 3 runs. Not a great day. Had 9 total base runners he let up. 3 runs allowed. Not great. 3-8 on the season. He did get credited the loss in this game. His ERA moves to a little over 5 at a 5.06. Ynier Cano gets through 1 inning of work, gives up a hit, a walk, and has a strikeout, but does not give up a run. But then Chase McDermott comes in, and once Chase McDermott comes into the game, this really closed the door shut on any sort of chance the Orioles had of getting back into this game. Because Chase McDermott, and I tweeted this out earlier on my Birds of Feather Twitter account, which you could follow if you click the link in the bio, or whatever platform you're listening on. But Chase McDermott, he might be the worst pitcher in baseball, and I'm serious about that. Chase McDermott is someone who's been in the Orioles top 30 prospects for the past couple of years. He's been like a mainstay AAA pitcher down in AAA Norfolk, and we called him up to be a guy that comes out of our bullpen because obviously our bullpen arms are struggling right now. Chase McDermott, in his last outing, I think he gave up, 3 runs in his last outing, or even, I think, like 3, 4, or 5 runs in his last outing. And then Chase McDermott comes back out today, gets through .1 innings in 24 pitches. He pitched 24 pitches and only got 1 out in 24 pitches, gave up 2 hits, 3 walks, and 4 runs in 24 pitches and .1 innings. One of the worst outings I've really ever seen from a bullpen guy this year on the Orioles. He got 1 out in 24 pitches and gave up 4 runs and 3 walks and 2 hits. Like, that's insane. Chase McDermott's ERA is sitting at a cool, calm, collected 15.58 on the year, which is not obviously not what you like to see. Chase McDermott, I'm sure, hopefully won't come back in a game for the Orioles this year. But at the end of the day, there's only 9 games remaining. Who cares? Chase McDermott, he can come into the game. It doesn't really matter. We might as well keep him on the roster. But Chase McDermott, very bad outing from him today. And then Castillo comes in, 1.2 innings, gives up a hit, and has 3 strikeouts in 1.2 innings. Doesn't give up a run, so he did really good. And then Cade Stroud came in at the end of the game, 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, and has 2 strikeouts, so he did well. But overall, the pitching was a complete disaster. The offense was a complete disaster. The Orioles lose 7-0. The Orioles record falls to 72-81 on the season. And again, as I just said a little bit ago, there's only 9 games remaining this season. We have the rest of this 3-game series against the Yankees tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we play the Rays for 3 games. And then, then we have a day off Monday, play the Rays Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week is the last series of the year in New York. And that's going to be the season for the Orioles after those games. So 9 games remaining. Obviously, there's a ton of Orioles fans out there that are kind of just like, they've kind of packed their bags and they're already done with the season, which obviously I don't blame y'all. But, we go over every single game here on Birds of a Feather. But not a great game for the Orioles today. We've said this countless times, just not a good day overall. But switching up sports here and going over to the Ravens. We haven't really talked about the Ravens much this week because it is a Monday night game, so it does give the Ravens an extra day to prepare, but that also means that they push the practice date from Wednesday to Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday practices for the Ravens, so we're going to be going over that obviously today, tomorrow, and Saturday. And then Sunday we're going to do the game preview, and then obviously Monday is the game. But going over the quick injury report for this game, the first thing I'm going to say about the whole practice thing today, they were doing some interviews. Everyone is extremely confident going into this game. Obviously, the Lions are a very tough opponent. They are an extremely, extremely good offense. The Lions, the Bills, the Ravens, hell, the Colts this season. Like, they've been kind of the best offenses in the NFL. The Lions have been they haven't been amazing because their first game against Green Bay, they did really struggle. But last week against the Bears, they put up 52 points in last week's win over the Bears. So they're a great team. They're a great offense. We understand that. They did lose Ben Johnson. They did lose Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator. They lost Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator. They still got Dan Campbell out there at head coach, but there's still so much talent. You got Amon-Ra, you got Jameson Williams, you got Jameer, you got David Montgomery, you got Jared Goff. Like, you've got a ton of amazing players on this team on the offensive side of the ball, and defensively they have a lot of really good players as well. You got Aiden Hutchinson, Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch. Like, there's a lot of really good players on both sides of the ball, and that's why the Lions are really considered one of the best teams in the league, and as they should be. But one of these teams are going to be 1-2 leaving this game, unless they tie and be 1-1. But I seriously doubt that happens. Now that I said it out loud, though, it is going to happen. Just remember this part of this episode, and then on Monday when we go over the game, just if they tie, just blame it on me. Just blame it all on me. But going over this injury report, it's a very interesting injury report. Because there's a lot of names on it. You know, if you look at it just normally, there's 8 names on this injury report, which is not really something you want to see on Thursday when the game is on Monday. But the first player is Rasheen Ali. He was limited today with a concussion, but he did put up a limited practice, so he was there, had a limited practice. Good to see Rasheen Ali out there. You know, very good for special teams. Doesn't really get many carries, obviously, but for special teams, he's been fine. Marlon Humphrey was dealing with a groin injury, but he did put in a full practice, so it does look like Marlon Humphrey is going to be all good to go for this game unless something happens. But he did log a full practice in on Thursday. I expect him to hopefully get a full practice in tomorrow and Saturday, and then he'll be good to go. But Marlon Humphrey did practice in full, which is great. John Jenkins, one of our nose tackles, he was practiced in limited fashion because of a personal reason, but things should be good with him. And then Isaiah Likely, this is obviously a big name. Isaiah Likely has not played for the Ravens this year. He suffered that foot injury in training camp that we went over all those weeks ago. Suffered that foot injury, got surgery on it. His timeline was to come back hopefully by week 3, which is obviously this week against the Lions, this game against the Lions. This was kind of his timeline, and it's looking like he's going to be good for this game. He logged into practice in the last practice last week, but obviously he was inactive for the Browns game. But going into this game, you give him an extra day to recover, obviously, because the game's on Monday night. But Isaiah Likely does log a limited practice. So that is now back-to-back practices that Isaiah Likely has been a part of, back-to-back limited practices he's been a part of, which is a great sign. If he can log in a full practice either tomorrow or Saturday, he should be looking 100% good to go for this game against Detroit, which is very, very nice to see. Because obviously Mark Andrews has not been really great this year. He's not really done much of anything this season. I think he has 2 catches through 2 games. And that's not the Mark Andrews that we know. That's not the Mark Andrews that we've seen for all these years in Baltimore. We understand the connection that Isaiah Likely and Lamar Jackson have. We saw it last year. And obviously, John Harbaugh at the beginning of the training camp this year said that he expects Isaiah Likely to have all-pro expectations. And getting Isaiah Likely back into this offense just makes it even more deadly. It opens up the pass game even more. Obviously, the pass game has really only gone to like Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins, to be honest with you. Mostly Zay Flowers, but D-Hop's also gotten his fair share of yards and targets, and obviously he has 2 touchdowns this year as well. Probably should have been 3 touchdowns, but Isaiah Likely is going to open up this pass game even more, which is also going to open up the run game for Derek and Lamar. So Isaiah Likely coming back is such a big thing for this team, so that's very good to see. So hopefully he gets a full practice in tomorrow or Saturday, and we'll see him out there on Monday. And then Nnamdi Madubuike has a neck injury. He did not play at practice today. This is something to monitor. Madubuike, obviously, he has 2 sacks within 2 games. He had a sack in week 1 against the Bills, had a sack last week against the Browns. So Madubuike has been great. He's a very good D tackle, very good, one of the better D tackles in football, and has been playing like that this year. So him having this neck injury and not playing in practice today is a little bit concerning, but hopefully he will be good to go on Friday or on Monday. Pat Ricard, with this calf injury, still a DNP, has not logged into practice once this season, since the season has started. He's been dealing with this calf injury since like middle of August, and we are now in the middle of September. So it's been about a month since we've seen Pat Ricard out on the field, which isn't great because he does play a big role in this Ravens team. Obviously, stat-wise, he's not going to put up the stats, but just as an extra offensive lineman, a big body, fullback, just an extra offensive lineman out there, that plays a big role. And him not being out there is a big deal, so hopefully he can log into practice and maybe be ready, but it's not really looking likely for Pat Ricard to be playing this Monday. And then Kyle Van Noy, he did not practice today. This is not surprising. As I reported and talked about earlier, Kyle Van Noy is looking like he's going to miss multiple weeks with this hamstring injury, but they're hoping that it's not anything like too crazy. Maybe it's like a 1 to 2 to maybe 3 week injury, not something too crazy. Obviously, Kyle Van Noy is a big part of this defense. He led the team in sacks last year. He's been such a good edge rusher for the Ravens over the past couple of years, and to lose him would be big. It would be big, but I do not expect Kyle Van Noy to play this week. Maybe he'll play next week. I don't know, but I do not expect Kyle Van Noy to play this Monday. Maybe hope if there's some miracle by God, maybe, but it's not really looking good for Kyle Van Noy, at least when it comes to this week. And then Nate Wiggins. We talked about it in the game review. We talked about it in the game recap video against the Browns last week, or this past Sunday. But Nate Wiggins got an interception in this game, and then while he was celebrating his interception, Chidobe Awuzie goes and jumps on his back, and then Nate Wiggins falls to the ground, and then kind of tells his teammates to back up because he did get a little bit hurt, and he did kind of limp off to the sideline and didn't come in the rest of the game. And this is something that happened at the end of the game, so nobody really noticed it. But, at first I thought that it wasn't anything too serious. At first I thought that he was a little bit shaken up, but he'll be good to go, especially with us moving practices, especially with, having that extra day. But it does look like Nate Wiggins, it is a groin injury. He did not practice today at practice, which is a big deal. Nate Wiggins, obviously one of the premier players on this defense, one of the premier corners on this team. And not having Nate Wiggins is going to be big. We'll see if he can log into practice tomorrow or Saturday, but it's not looking too great for Nate. Hopefully he'll be good to go tomorrow or Saturday. But this is something to monitor. And again, just like classic Ravens injury fashion, like we've seen the Ravens deal with injuries. Last year they were pretty good when it came to injuries until the Zay Flowers injury late in the year. But we've seen some Ravens injuries that have just been so dumb, just such bad timing. And for Nate Wiggins to get injured on a celebration of his interception because, one of his teammates jumps on his back and kind of makes him fall and then cause a groin injury, that's just something that's just like a freak accident. That, obviously I'm not going to sit here and blame Chidobe Awuzie. I'm not going to blame Nate Wiggins. It's just, wrong place, wrong time, freak accident-like thing. But hopefully this groin injury is not something too serious for Nate Wiggins because he is very important for this team. But when you look at this injury report overall, and obviously there are some quotes today, everyone is very confident going into this game against the Lions. They understand it's going to be a tough task. We are wearing the all-black uniforms, which is nice to see the Ravens, prime time fit. And the Ravens usually on primetime football always come out to play. So, the team is very confident. There's a lot of positives from last week defensively and offensively. And, obviously back-to-back 40-point games. And hopefully we can keep that up against the Lions because it might have to be a shootout because both defenses, the Ravens and the Lions, both defenses are a little bit shaky. They have great names, but they are a little bit shaky. But both offenses are great. So this could be one of those games where it might have to be a shootout, but I do trust the Ravens in a shootout all the time. But yeah, this injury report is obviously a little bit concerning. There's a lot of names on here, but some of them hopefully will be back tomorrow. We'll learn a lot more about the injury report and a lot more about the statuses of these guys come tomorrow. So hopefully everything is going to be okay with that. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify. Make sure to click the link in the bio as well to check out the Instagram and the Twitter. Post live updates, live game updates, live updates on everything going on, Ravens and Orioles related, so make sure to give that a follow. And Orioles lose, very embarrassing fashion, 7-0 loss to the Yankees. The Ravens had practice today. Things went well, but there was a lot of players on injury report that we do have to keep an eye on. So overall, not too crazy of a day, but things are pretty chill right now. But going into tomorrow, obviously there is a Orioles and Yankees game tomorrow that we're going to go over, and then also tomorrow we're going to do something very similar like we did today and just talk about the Ravens practice, any sort of big news that comes out of that leading up into the game on Monday. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a great sales day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.